Welcome to another edition of the Life and Business Podcast. My name is Sumisi Daniel Chukwu Emeka. Now, the Life and Business Podcast is where I talk about stuff that bother me, things that matter to me, and try to make sense about a number of things. We also interview people here, the Life and Business Podcast. Um, I'm trying to give you a background story as to why I'm going to talk about what I will talk about today, because I think it will give you an idea where I'm coming from. I like to tell stories, as you obviously have noticed. But before I talk about all my plenty stories, I'll be talking about hustle culture versus hard work. It's going to be more of a ramble than a well coordinated, put together thought. And the reason why it's going to be more rambles than put together thought is because I haven't fully formed my opinion yet on some of these issues. So you please forgive me for just having it this way. Hustle culture versus what's the word now? Hustle culture rather versus hard work. What's the difference? I would also be picking back on capitalism, happiness, and working hard. So it's going to be a lot of touching on a lot of things. So you please forgive me if my thoughts are not as coordinated as they normally would be. So why am I talking about hustle culture versus versus Now, why am I talking about hustle culture versus hard work? The reason I'm talking about it is because I have noticed that there seems to be an anti-work movement. But before I talk about the anti-work movement, I had gotten into a conversation some weeks ago on X while I was still there. I had to deactivate my account for my own mental health. It's a bit weird because I still play lots of games on my phone. But conversation for another day. So I had a conversation with somebody on X, and we're talking about capitalism versus socialism and the dangers and demonizing of capitalism and how terrible it is. And while that conversation ensued, which I partook in it for a while until I went off social media, off Twitter, it got me thinking about what capitalism means in and of itself, what working hard means, and while the new anti-work movement seems to be gaining some grounds amongst young people. So in the conversation I had with this person on X, we're talking about socialism versus capitalism. He said that capitalism was evil and that capitalism had a lot of capital lords who lorded over people, enslaving people and paying them meager wages. He talked about how if there was a system that, like socialism, that paid people monies, they have the chance to do what they love to do, they have the chance to pursue their passion and be great at it. Now, some of the arguments for that kind of socialism is that if people were inherently not concerned about just making money and putting food on the table, they can be the best version of themselves. The idea that leisure equals productivity and success is probably how I view the whole let people do what they love doing without having to bother about money. Now, if you have also been in the capitalism, socialism, or different economic ideologies space on social media, you most likely would have come across the basic survival wages conversation. The basic survival wage, I think that's what it's called. I hope I'm not wrong here. Or the basic living wage conversation is that people are given a basic living wage, like a given certain amount of money on how much they think they need to live on for a month or a year, and then allowed to do whatever they want to do. The argument is that if people do not have to bother about making money for survival, they can be the best version of themselves. We get the next Einstein, the next Elon Musk, the next Mark Zuckerberg, and all of these things. That is for me, how I say it, that is the premise of this new school of sociology that, of communism rather, forgive me, this new school of communism that focuses on people being the best version of themselves where they didn't have to worry about money. Now, that conversation led me also to my girlfriend who went, oh God, I cannot sleep because I have work to do. Why am I sleeping when I have not accomplished A, B, C, D? Why do I have to rest when my to-do list still has some things unchecked? It also piggybacks to the conversations I've seen on YouTube of people saying, at work your competitors, sleep for 4 hours if you want to be successful in life, sleep less, work hard, be the hardest worker, in the team. That is the only way you can succeed. From the Alex Hormozy to the Gary Vaynerchuks to the Tom Billions to the Chris Williamsons. It's a lot of work hard, work hard, work hard. Now, the difference between the don't work so hard, only do what you love, and work so hard so that you can be the best in your field and outwork everybody else so you can out financially at succeed them financially, is that there seem to be extremes in this. So I'll try to deconstruct this as best as I can. Again, like I mentioned before, I do not have all the answers, and I don't know if what I'm saying makes perfect sense, but I hope they do in some part in this my rambling. Is that the socialist-esque conversations about anti-work that says, don't work so hard, only do those things you're passionate about, sort of goes against the hard work, grind, and do what you have to do and stay up late at night, later than anybody else. It also falls back, and this is a very interesting point I noticed, on the happiness coefficient conversation. People like Alex Hormozy would say, happiness is not a thing you should chase after. Chase productivity, chase success, chase the thing you think is important to put money in your pocket and make your business to grow. While the anti-work people, the anti-work people would say, hey, you have to be happy. You have to find a way to be happy. All of this also ties into the burnout, the fatigue pandemic that we seem not to be talking about. Now, if you notice, immediately after the COVID-19 wave eased off somewhat in Western worlds, we had what we call the Great Resignation. The Great Resignation was a lot of young people saying, hey, I'm done working for y'all, I'm going to go work for myself. And many of these people went on to start their own side hustles, in side businesses, online businesses, or, making content or whatever it is they thought they were passionate about, and they went full head on into it. I saw a start, again, I might be wrong here, but I hope I'm not, that about 60% or more of Gen Zs have side hustles more than even alongside their 9 to 5 jobs. So it means that there seems to be an entrepreneurial growth. Again, this data we're getting from the United States, so they might not be applicable to many parts of the world, but I'm going to speak as a Nigerian and a young person who is very much in conversations with young persons. I think that a lot of young people in Nigeria are doing a lot of side hustles, Well, some would say it is because our economy doesn't afford us to have just one job. Some would also say, well, Nigerians have been foisted and formed in hardship, so they can't see any way out of it other than working hard and doing the work necessary. Now, all of this is saying here that people are working, some would say harder, but some would also say they are working at the things they love. But there's also the happiness metric that seems to be going down by the day in the US. More people are sadder than they were some 20, 30 years ago. There are more lonely people than they were 30, 50 years ago. There are more depressed people diagnosed of depression, clinical depression, and other form of mental illnesses than they were some 30, 50 years ago. So, while it seems as though we are progressing in terms of we're working hard in terms of our technologies, we seem to be having less quality of life compared to people of old. So what's the problem? Is it that working hard is bad? Is it that this thing they call hustle culture is a terrible thing? Or are we unnecessarily, unproductively reducing productivity by saying only do what you love? Can we as a society grow if we only do the things we love as a people? For example, I love to sleep. Like that is my superpower. If I only sleep, would we grow as a people? So again, let me try to make sense of this as best as I can. I think that the hustle culture thing is a function of perspective. I think hustle culture is a function of what you see it and how you interpret it. Now, I use the word hustle culture. For those of you who don't know what hustle culture means, hustle culture is when people just tell you to grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and grind until you've grounded yourself to success. Hustle culture says you can make yourself successful, just do the work. It puts the responsibility of success, at least financial success, in your hands. Hustle culture says sleep later than every other person and wake earlier than every other person. Some would say that hustle culture do not put into perspective other parts of your life. They say things like, if you are solely focused on the hustle, you forget that there are other parts of your life that are equally as important. Your family, your relationship with yourself, relationship with your friends and your spouse. It seems some would say the hustle culture doesn't allow you to have a wholesome, holistic life. It doesn't allow you to heal. You know, this soft words they use these days. So that's the conversation about hustle culture. But I think that it is unnecessarily demonizing of hustle culture. This idea, this hustle culture thing that has been demonized among certain socialist sympathizers and woke people, and to an extent artists. I think that people often forget that the basis of capitalism is exchange of value. I think that the demonization and to an extent the bastardization of capitalism as it is right now is people believing that value can be created in and of itself without a measure of reward given. It's the idea that people can be the fullest version of themselves just because they feel like it. I think demonizing of hustle culture forgets to put into consideration that capitalism isn't solely about the richest people in the world. It is also about that 17-year-old kid who had no money, who had no house, and whose parents were dead poor, but worked his way up the corporate ladder or started selling stuff and now can afford a house for him and his 3 kids and wife. It is people forgetting that capitalism is that woman, my mother, who did not have a lot of education, but still could work her butt off the ground to ensure that there was food on the table, clothes on her back, and we went to school. They forget that capitalism is that 25-year-old man who is out of school but cannot get a job and so decides to start selling things online, selling sneakers, selling crypto, and selling whatever he can sell to put food on his table. And now he has a good house. Now he has money in his bank account. Now he lives comfortably and is not begging the government for a job. I think people fail to understand that capitalism in and of itself is the exchange of values for money. Yes, there are some bad, ultra-rich people who are doing a lot of bad things to the world. That is a fact. But I think it's an oversimplification of capitalism in and of itself to say that it is terrible, it is bad. And the idea that hustle culture makes you forget who you are is somewhat true and somewhat a lie. The idea also that we as humans have to consciously chase after happiness is somewhat true and somewhat a lie. No, I'm not trying to sound like a politician and being undecisive here. If you know me, you know I like to say it the way I say it without caring for whose ox is God. I think that we need to find some level of balance in our conversations about hustle culture and about no work. Hustle culture says to you, you have the absolute power to do what you can do and you can be whoever you want to be when you work hard. Now some people say, but everybody who works hard hasn't been successful. It is life, bruv. Everybody will not be successful. But the one thing you cannot take away is the hope of being successful if you work hard. The chances of you being successful when you work hard is higher than not being successful when you don't work hard. The ability to have the responsibility within your hands to take yourself off shitty positions into a more elevated status, social and economically, is something that you cannot take away. It is one of the beauties of capitalism. It is one of the beauties of working hard. It is that you have the power within you to elevate yourself. If you're comfortable with your financial state, you can learn to earn more. You can sell to earn more. You can become better. You can work yourself off the ground in the right direction to become better. I think people often forget that working hard is not all the hustle culture preaches, or this thing we call hustle culture. Hustle culture also teaches you to find that thing that is financially profitable, but it also teaches you to find some level of spiritual balance within yourself. I think the idea that working hard is terrible for human development and growth is because we think that anything good can come out from a place of ease and comfort. No, it cannot. Nothing good comes from a place of comfort. Even salvation, what Christians, we enjoy as Christians, did not come of a place of comfort. Jesus Christ had to die on the cross, had to be whipped multiple times, had to be humiliated on the cross by people he could have snapped his fingers and killed if he wanted to, but he had to go through that suffering. He had to be pressed down. He had to be shaken together. He had to be run over by these people for you to get this salvation. So, if we want anything progressive in this world, some people would have to go outside of their comfort zones to do it. That is why I do not understand the argument that you only work on the things you love. Yes, work on the things you love. But, bruv, you can't work on only the things you love. Some things are necessities. And here is the funny part about necessities. Sometimes you find out that you actually love this thing you're doing when you spend enough time doing it. In the past, for example, I never used to like video editing. I don't think I like it now, but I used to hate it. I had a friend and roommate then, Sylvester, who would spend hours behind the system just trying to make a video. Whether it's a marriage trailer he's making for his clients or he's trying to edit a product video for another. I was always fascinated and somewhat annoyed by the fact that I had to sit in front of a laptop for hours, or he had to sit in front of a laptop for hours, just to get a content through. But now, as I, started to edit my videos and that of another person's, I realized that I think I like editing. I was watching a Fisayo Fosudo's video yesterday where it was talking about this app that gives you $900,000, I think per month, I don't know. And I was, for the first time in my life, understanding the intricacies of After Effects and the way the video was well edited, and I was fascinated by it. Some 2 years ago, or even some year ago, a year from now, I would probably never have noticed those things because I really didn't care about video editing. All I cared about was writing. Now, what am I saying? I am saying that you can't always know what you love until you do things. You can't always know what you love until you start working at something, putting your time and effort to doing and learning and growing in that thing. So the idea that you can always find that thing you love every time is false. I know I spoke about purpose the last time, and I still believe that purpose is something that you can get when you look back at who you are. But every one of us cannot find that feel-good thing we love to do. Sometimes you have to do the work. The flip side of this conversation is that hustle culture says that you always have to sacrifice. And yes, in life, there would always be sacrifice. I do not think anything can be achieved in life without sacrifice. I might be wrong. I might be saying something that is utterly wrong. And please, you can prove me right or wrong rather in the comment section by explaining to me if there are things noteworthy that can be achieved without sacrifice. No, I don't think anything can. But with hustle culture, it tells you, or it sort of preaches to you, that all that matters in life is your financial success. And that's how the message comes across. It's just grind and grind and grind, and when you make money, everybody else will see your success. Have you ever heard that story of wealthy people who worked all their life and on their dying bed when they were asked what is that one thing they wish they had done differently? They say they wish they had spent it more with their family. Yes. As cheeky, as soft as it might sound to you who is strong and masculine and a hustler, you do not want to live your life solely focused on the grind. Even though I know Alex Omozi had said that, hey, sometimes when you want to achieve something, some things would have to suffer for other things to happen. Yes, I know. But I think that it is unfair. You are doing a disservice to yourself and to your core as a person if you do not find the way to strike a balance between hustling and having a life. Now, it's also very possible, and I've heard people say this, and it's also true for me, that the thing you're hustling in could fill you with so much happiness that you do not need the external happiness from other people. That is true. But what is also true is that you cannot live your life solely on your job or solely on your business. You will need other people too. You will need other aspects of your life to be in some level of synchronization and some level of balance for you to be successful. Even though I do not solely buy the whole healing and wholesomeness that some of these anti-work people preach, I think that there's a thing like wholeness in a person. If it's having your mind, body, and spirit full. And how do you get your mind full? By reading books, by learning new things, by working hard at the things you're passionate and you believe strongly in. How do you get your body full? By working out, by exercising, by eating healthy. How do you get your spirit full? By being spiritual, by praying if you are a Christian or a Muslim, or by doing other spiritual activities if you aren't, by having important, wholesome, emotionally soft and good conversations and moments with the people you love and love you in return. So, you cannot say that all that your life is about is making money without having to deal with the other things in your life, your spirits and your body. So I think that while hustle culture, a lot of the messages being preached says abandon everything, don't focus on anything, just grind and grind. I believe that for any person who wants to be successful, you have to find a way to find some level of balance. I don't mean 50-50% for everything. I mean balance in such a way that they do not suffer so terribly that after you've made the money, those other things are no longer there for you. Imagine spending 10 years working your butts off and damning every other person in your life, man, woman, father, mother, brother, sister, boy, girl. Imagine how after 10 years you become insanely successful and wealthy. But these people who love you, these people who have been there for you, can no longer speak to you because they've lost the connection. Imagine how they'll feel when 10 years after it is when you now want to connect with them on some emotional level. Imagine the level of disconnect they will feel. Imagine how you would feel not having anybody in your corner to talk to and laugh with even when you're insanely successful. Now, am I saying that you should not work hard? Please do work hard. I am learning myself to put in the hours longer than every other person I know in achieving what I want to achieve. I am learning that in order to be successful in a thing or things you want to do, you have to be willing to make sacrifices of your time, of your body, of your sleep. But I am saying to you also that you need to find a way to get the people in your life and the things that are important in your life also factored in your working hard. If, for example, you have a spouse, you can factor in your spouse in that working hard process. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whichever one works for you, can be given to your spouse for you guys to spend time together. If you have a family, spend time with them, maybe it's once a week or once a month. Give them some time. I know, I've heard it a lot of time when entrepreneur says, I went 10 years non-stop working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. I don't know how true that is, but I think it's bullshit. I think nobody can work 18 hours a day for 10 years on a stretch. You still have to have people in your life. Even Elon Musk, like my father, the Abito Shaker, the Gangus Gadaga, the one that only liquid metal would say. Even Elon Musk, the second richest man in the world behind Jeff Bezos, had a life, some form of a life. He had family, he had friends, he had brothers, sister, mother. He had a brother, he had a mother who loved him, he had friends and spouses who cared for him. So even in his extremely hard-working, grinding scenario or phase in his life, which he constantly is in, he still had people he was with. Now, I am saying people because it is one of the most important sacrifices that many hustlers make, where they damn everybody and say, when I make the money, you all will come for me. Well, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know, man. But I don't think you should live your life solely focused on making money. So, you can work hard. You should work hard. You should spend time learning and growing a business or growing your career or growing your body. But you should not do that so much at the detriment of the other things that matter in your life. Yes, you won't be able to give equal attention and commitment to the different things in your life, but you can give enough attention and commitment to those things that they do not go comatose while you're working hard. And for those people who say do not work hard, trust me, man, it is impossible to make something work in this world without hard work. Whether it is building the cars or building the rail lines or the roads or making an aeroplane or whatever form of success you think we have in the world right now, technologically or even to an extent socially, those things happen because of some level of hard work, some kind of sacrifices were made. So yes, do work hard. And I don't think it's a thing like hustle culture the way it's being demonized. I think working hard is good. And I'm going to use the words of Alex Ramosi here. Working hard is also working hard on you. So, if you know you want to be successful, work hard, but do not work hard such that you forget every other thing in your life. This might sound contradictory. This might sound like I'm speaking from both sides of my mouth. But what I'm saying is, you can work hard and you should work hard, but don't work hard at the detriment of the people that love you, at the detriment of your health, at the detriment of other spiritual exercises and activities that fills you and makes you whole than you currently feel. This has been the Life and Business podcast. You can do well to like, subscribe to this channel, share with your friends and family and even your enemies. And join me every weekday as I post things that I talk about sports, about life, about business, about the things I'm learning and the things I'm not learning. Again, thank you for watching but this has been the Life and Business podcast. Thank you so much for watching. Again, do not forget to subscribe to this channel, to like, to comment and share with your friends. It will do me a world of good if you do all of this for me. And most importantly, like, subscribe, comment and share.